This is Corning Inc. Q4 2021 earnings call summary. They beat on both revenue and profit, and the price has seen a 15% increase over the last week. So that's really good. I was really impressed with this earnings call. I learned a lot about the company. When you talk about business owners explaining their products and services and their offerings, they really hit it out the park this time. And so I want to discuss those with you. Right away, I'll say that everything was up about 20%. The net profit now know what previous net profit has been, so that 50% may be really good, maybe not that great, depending on what the net profit was a year ago. But net profit was up 50%, which is again revenue up roughly 20%. So first things first, optical communications. This is fiber optics, okay, and this is a really interesting, a really big segment of the company that can really just throw them into the stratosphere because they are U.S. Based fiber optic company. They just re-upped their contract with AT&T, and of course they're working on bringing on more long-term contracts. They talked about the official just passed Congress dollars was put into expanding broadband and fiber optic. And I mean, that fiber optic is the future of internet and TV connections in the home and in businesses. Data centers, same thing. When you upload that picture to Instagram, that picture is being saved on a server somewhere connected to the internet. And more and more, those connections will be done with fiber optic. Fiber not every neighborhood yet, and so that means that there's a lot of growth opportunity for fiber optics. So that was that road works. There we go. All right, display technologies. This is TVs, and this one was really it's tenuous. The reason being is because right now we're looking at 65-inch TVs, and Corning is under the impression that that is going to continue to grow, which means that this segment will continue to grow. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, at some point, we're going to reach a size that isn't going to get any bigger. Something is going to happen in the TV market, but my theory is that either sizes are going to stop growing, or more than likely, consumers are going to stop purchasing TVs. I mean, I haven't purchased a TV myself since. Oh, let me really think about it. Last TV I purchased was 2012. Yeah, 2012. The I cracked the glass, ruined the TV, and I was like, never again. Never again will I spend money on something that can break so easily, right? So I got into projectors. I really like a really nice projector that will show in the brightest of environments. Of course, the lower end projectors, you need a really dark room to really get resolution. But I mean, if I really want to kick back and watch a game or watch a movie, I kind of want to do it in a dark room anyway. I don't want, I don't need a bunch of lights on. So anyway, they think it's going to continue to grow. I don't know about that, but that's where we are with TVs. Environmental technologies. All right, so this is another really interesting one. They talked about gasoline filters for vehicles, right? So there is, I guess, a glass type fiber that's used to make these gas filters that are supposed to reduce emissions. Whether or not that gets adopted into all the cars, or if there's some sort of where there'll be some sort of, I want to say legitimate, but that's the wrong word. Legal? No. I mean, legal is the word I'm looking for, but legislation. There we go. Will there be any sort of legislation demanding these particular gasoline filters on cars? Who knows? But it is nice that they have that little extra something that they can sell along with their other products, technologies segment, which is also semiconductors, something that is being talked about quite a bit, right? It's hard to get chips in, and so Corning is they have a segment rather that is very integral in making microchips, and so that's pretty cool. I'm looking at there was something else too. I don't remember if it was environmental technologies or yeah. Okay, so no, it's not. Okay, so that's environment. So we got the gasoline filters, and we also have the semiconductors. Okay. If I'm missing something, I'll go back. All right, specialty materials. This is all about phones, right? Um, there is a growing, um, what's the word I'm looking for? A growing demand for the Gorilla Glass, right? Which is basically a strong glass to coat the screen on a phone so that when you drop it, it doesn't crack, blah, blah, blah. There's also the glass cover that you can put on your cell phone so that if you do drop it, the glass cover cracks and not the actual phone screen. So again, very strong demand. They just received something like $200 million from Apple to put into research and basically just moving the technology forward. And so I think that's, again, a really good segment that isn't going away anytime soon. The other thing with specialty materials is that they didn't know this was going to happen, but they're able to now get into solar. So they just started up a new plant that was down for a little while, and they started it up, and they've already gotten some long-term contracts in place, and they said that their contracts was cash up front, take or pay, meaning that you got to give us cash now. We'll start making the solar panels, and then once we make them, you have to either take them or you have to pay for them. There ain't no other way. So, I mean, what better position can you be in as a company? And so, where that's gonna go, they didn't say during the call. They didn't want to say because what happens is if you tell the analyst, oh well, we expect that particular business segment is going to grow 10%. All of a sudden, the analysts are going to put that's going to increase the estimates for revenue, it's going to increase the estimates for net profit. And next thing you know, the company is now trying to meet those estimates. So they were very coy in about where they see the business going. What they did say, though, and this probably has a lot to do with why the net profit was so high this year, is compared to last year, is because when they did start up on this solar stuff, they already had a bunch of glass and solar panels and whatnot in inventory. So they didn't have to spend money making anything. They just sold what was already there. And they said that the demand is so strong, they're literally just selling as much as they can of the solar panels, or rather making as much as they can, because they're being sold pretty much as soon as they make it. Same thing goes with the fiber optic. The more they can make, the more they can sell. There's no shortage of demand for that stuff. All right, it's interesting one, something I didn't even think about until I started covering Corning, and that is the pharmaceutical segment. So medicines, vaccines, all these, what else? Like the cultures, all this stuff is on glass, all on glass, right? So when you talk about COVID, when you talk about really just medical science and where it's going, they need glass vials. They need those glass culture things to make things happen. And so Corning is a leading supplier for the medical industry to get all that stuff done. The other thing that's inside of the life sciences is their automotive. And this is really interesting. I really think it is happening, but I really think it's going to be maybe not the standard, but it's going to be in a lot more vehicles going forward, which is the heads up display, meaning your windshield is going to be a display, not necessarily just like glass you're looking through, but also a heads up display. And that's going to take special glass to make that happen. And Corning is already making that for a number of vehicles. I think the new Toyota Iconic has a heads up windshield display. I believe they said there's a Benz coming out that has a heads up display, and there's also a Jeep. Yeah, a Jeep that has a heads up display. So it's happening, and I think it will continue to happen. I have not seen it for myself yet. Maybe I'll Google it when I finish this. But man, that's got to be awesome. When you talk about what was the Pokemon game? What did they call it? Alternative reality? No, it was I can't think of it now. But that's where we're going though. Specifically with automotive, where your windshield will not only show you the outside world, but it'll also overlay on top of the outside world other stuff. I mean, yeah, there'll be a stop sign over there, but your windshield will overlay even more information concerning that stop sign. Maybe make it brighter, make it more visible. You know what I mean? The lines on the road. Sometimes they're not as bright as you want them to be, and so maybe your windshield can overlay a brighter not a brighter luminescent color on those lines so that you can see. So I mean, again, I think this is another segment that has a lot of potential for growth. Let's see. That's it. Okay, so yeah, that's what I missed. So the other segment. So they have an other segment, and this is where they talk about the solar panels, also the another side, yeah, the auto glass. Okay, so we're okay. So we did cover all that stuff, but that is, they call it the other segment. But in reality, though, I think even these items in the other segment fall under the life sciences and the specialty materials as far as the type of material that it is in the business. So anyway, that's it. Another thing. So when asked about inflation, Corning said, like, just no questions asked. All these costs are being passed on to the customer. They're in negotiations right now to get prices increased. They've already increased prices for some of their customers, and they plan to increase prices for pretty much all their customers throughout the year of 2022. When asked when those pricings are going to go in effect, they weren't able to say, simply because from their position, they're like, well, we're renegotiating contracts. we don't want to we don't want to discuss inside business when we're in the middle of renegotiation. But they did say unequivocally prices are going to definitely increase for all their customers throughout the year 2022. The only drawback to that, though, is that if we do see more inflation, 2023, 2024, depending on how those contracts are constructed, that can really hurt the business, right? One thing that the CFO said was that the renegotiations um, are there so that the customers know their price. Okay. If the customers know their price, that means that chances are these renegotiations are going to name a price, and that price is going to stay. So even if we have 5% inflation next year, their prices aren't going to change. Will we see more inflation? I doubt it, but you never know what can come out of the White House. You know, I can't imagine. I can't imagine someone saying, we need more money. I can't imagine that, but you never know. The other thing that I want to mention, talked about inflation. Oh, I hate this. That's all. It must not have been very important if I can't remember. I did talk about all the things that I think really. Oh, yeah. This is kind of important. So they raised their dividend last year. They're raising their dividend again this year. So that's really good. You love to see dividend growth because when you're investing in a dividend paying company, what you want is not only the dividend, but you want that dividend to increase, and that just multiplies um, that compound interest, right? Just multiplies it. And then you talk about price appreciation. You're talking about premium on options. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we really love seeing that dividend increase, and hopefully they will continue with that.